Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Dan O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Eli Halpern, who is the CEO and founder of Golden Cricket. He's a comedian, he's a musician, he's a martial artist. Whole bunch of fun stuff to jump into with this whole crazy journey of what is entrepreneurship and business ownership, all that fun stuff here. So, Eli, first and foremost, just thank you so much for taking the time to be here, to sit down with us, to chat, to kind of go through some fun things here. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of who you are and tell us what the heck is Golden Cricket.
Hey, Tanner, thanks for having me. So I'm an interesting individual. I'll be honest. There's a lot I could start with, but I think staying on track with as far as business goes, I guess I just realized at a young age that this whole system is kind of rigged and the whole 9 to 5 was not how I wanted to spend my time. So I became engulfed in making money at a pretty young age. I'd say at about 12 years old. The first time I went on the family computer and found eBay existed, I made an account right away and started selling stuff. And I would draw pictures and sell my art and stuff. And some of them would sell for like $5 to $12. And it wasn't much, but it was something. And the concept in my mind was never, I want to be a business owner or I want to start a business. It was just, I need money so I could buy M&Ms. Because when you're 12 years old, in my world at age 12, I lived in an M&M democracy to where whoever had the most M&Ms had the power. I wanted to collect as many M&Ms as possible. It's years later, I realized there's a terrible sugar addiction. I don't partake in such behavior these days. I'm a fruit guy now, but it was really about freedom. It was, I got in trouble a lot as a kid because I didn't listen, but that was because I would hear these adults and parents telling me what to do. And I would look at them and I look at their life and I would think, I don't want to be anything like these people. So why would I take their advice? And I got into lifting weights around like 18 years old. I think every male at some point really taps into growing their physique and just got really into protein consumption and what have you. I started doing stand-up comedy, which we'll tie in a little bit later. I started doing martial arts. So everything kind of culminates together. About 8 years ago, I was in Thailand. I was doing Muay Thai out there. And there's a lot of weird stuff to eat out there. I ate a scorpion and it was actually really good.
Interesting.
And it was barbecued and it was like creamy and salty and crunchy and crispy. It was actually really good. So I did some research. It turns out that insects are like the most nutritious and sustainable source of protein on the planet. So ever since then, it was just kind of a belief I held, like we should eat bugs. It didn't really go much further than that. I wasn't really trying to do anything about it. But then, I don't know, the idea kind of hit me all at once. Just insect protein bars. Because I was thinking about 2 years ago is when I had the idea for Golden Cricket, which is my company.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought process was, well, I have built this community out here in Austin. I have a lot of people who support me. I train martial arts. I have an MMA team I could sponsor with my company. And I just thought insect protein bar was weird, cool, and had the science behind it to really be a thing. In addition to that, I do stand-up comedy. So what's the worst thing you can have in the audience when you're doing comedy? Crickets. So I'm like, all right, well, let's kill them all and turn them into food. There's many layers to this. There's so many angles here. And that's part of the fun of it too, because I was aware in starting this that it was going to be a completely uphill battle because a lot of people are just like, I'm not going to eat bugs. And that's fine. I get it. I really do. But I like the struggle. I like going against the odds. I like proving a point, and it so I have a history of e-commerce in terms of the eBay I mentioned. I did FBA, Amazon, but this is the first time I had just built a product from the ground up for a market that doesn't exist. And it's kind of insane, but it's something that you're not going to forget. It does the marketing itself after a certain point, after it's exposed to a certain amount of people. Anyone we talk to about our product, they're going to tell someone else. It's interesting. It's a whatever your opinion on it, there is an opinion to have. It's a rather polarizing. So I guess that really does just sum up who I am. Just kind of like taking risks and just using good logic and rationale to navigate this this terrain of the economy and whatever else.
I love it. No, there's so much there to, start to kind of unpack. And I'm fascinated with the with what will be or is kind of the marketing around this type of a product, knowing kind of what the market is or what people's perceptions may be initially. So I'm excited to kind of dive into a little bit of that here, kind of ask some fun questions. Before I do, I always like to just kind of set the stage for the viewers. We have the opportunity to chat with so many different types of businesses or businesses at different stages in kind of their growth cycle, all of that kind of stuff. So I always like to just kind of set the stage with just generally speaking, ownership structure. Do you have business partners? Did you have, or have you taken on like outside investment and have kind of, board members that are help guiding you throughout this process? Or is it just you figuring it out as you go through? Kind of what does that look like for you in the journey so far?
It's about 99% me doing everything. I did get an investor for $100,000 about 7 months in, under the agreement that they were to not advise me whatsoever. And they were like, sure, take the 100 grand and do what you're going to do. So I'm a Delaware C Corp, which is attractive for investors. Initially was an S Corp for tax purposes. I have one employee, right? Well, my little brother is my employee, but I also have promised him some equity because he's helped me start this and get it going.
That's
I
awesome.
I just hired another dude part-time. We're really hammering out like events and basically selling our product Girl Scout cookie style because it's free guerrilla marketing. The marketing is so I have a lot of friends who are musicians and comedians. That's kind of the main circles I'm in, and martial artists. So I'm basically trying to use whatever creativity is behind these individuals, my friends, and kind of give them the spotlight. And like I have some friends that I was like, yeah, you guys, I'll just pay you. You do whatever you want to do. I trust your vision. Just make it happen. And they come back with some really funny ads. And the initial plan was just make all this funny content, post on TikTok, social media, and generate sales. question mark profit. That was the initial plan. And then
Now that's a plan. I love it.
we got into posting on TikTok, and our videos would be blowing up. We'd be making thousands of dollars in sales. So I was like, okay, this is going to happen. And then we started doing paid ads, and the paid ads just did not work. So lately I've just been focusing on just doing the in-person stuff and doing events. And I have another product that there's been a bunch of holdups in terms of manufacturing and packaging. That's been Probably the second most difficult part about running this business. The first being just dealing with technology in the first place.
Because I was doing some research beforehand, and y'all sell primarily online, or is it online? And I think you've got a few places that distribute it, or you can buy it like in stores or gas stations or things like that around here in Austin. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. We're in about
Awesome.
maybe like 20 stores around town. But the business plan is supposed to be structured around online sales, but it's not coming out to work that way.
I'm curious. So you do these going out doing in person type stuff. Is that like an opportunity for people to try it for the first time? Like what does that experience look like when you're in front of somebody and selling Girl Scout cookie style?
So we just set up a table, and a lot of times just on the side of the street and on like South Congress on the weekends. And yeah, we'll have a bunch of samples. We're So our newest product is a horchata protein powder for smoothies. So we'll be mixing that up with almond milk and like pouring them in little cups. And I would say about 99% of the people that try it are very impressed and love the flavor. So it gives them a chance just to, because it's already a weird concept. But if you're like willing to try it and it's good, then you're like, okay, I think we're getting somewhere here. But a lot of people are surprised yet open. There's a good handful of people too that are like, yeah, I've heard about this, or I've researched the importance or the health benefits of crickets and positive effects on the environment. So it's not as common, but there's a lot of people out there who've also had the same thought process as me, which is interesting.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I'm when you look at just I guess who you've sold to so far as you're continuing to kind of build out the marketplace for Golden Cricket, have you noticed, it being a primarily a certain target of people that go after it first, those that are open to the concept, are they, tend to be more on the health conscious side? Are they, into fitness or things like that might lend to that? Or is it just like a large swath of people that are open to trying it? What have you noticed just in terms of who's kind of been the primary target that you've started to uncover?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pin down. I would say men between 30 and 40 it makes up a big portion, but and then there's some people that are like active that are into it, and then there's some people that are so old that there's no way that they're active. Uh, it's pretty all over the place, which is not an ideal answer for describing your customer base. You need to have like a solid understanding of the customer, and we're just not there yet.
Hmm. So are there other competitors out there that you really compete against outside of just the traditional maybe I'm looking for protein bars, I'm looking for protein powders and things like that, and there's hundreds of thousands in the market, but for insect based type of products, is there really much out there in terms of competition, or are you just cutting a whole new pathway as you move forward?
There's very few competitions, very few competitors. There's maybe about two or three companies right now that are doing what we're doing, and our product is better than both of them, and our marketing's way better. That's easy to argue, and our branding's cooler. Just the color scheme, design, everything. The ads are better. We're Although I would bet that they have a better supply chain going on, because
Mm.
ours is not primed to scale at the moment.
What do you think is the biggest challenge in kind of your supply chain at this point? What's causing the majority of the friction?
I don't know, man. Just things take a long time. You have to package stuff up and then ship it, and then yeah, really pretty much
Do
that.
do you do it all like by hand? Do you get everything there and then you package it and such, or do you have like fulfillment that handles all of that?
Uh there's a lot going on. We had the protein bars were manufactured. I manufactured the powder. And then once we scale, I'm going to outsource the powder manufacturing too.
Nice. So let's take a step back. You've got so much that's kind of cool to dive into from your journey. Background in kind of some e-commerce things, this being kind of that first next step into more physical product, that sort of thing. What has been kind of the biggest lesson that you've learned in the last 12 months or so in making that shift from kind of what you knew and what worked previously to now kind of growing through building this business?
That's a good question. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is no matter how far you try to get out of the system or the 9 to 5 corporate trap, you'll end up doing the same thing either way. Like, as
What
much as I didn't want to work for someone else and sit at my computer and send out emails, I still have to sit at my computer and send out emails for myself.
So shifting from kind of the working for yourself versus working for somebody else. Either way, it's still a job that has to get done, at least at this point, until you can kind of transcend and delegate out a whole bunch of stuff that is the job of the business. But now instead of working, for somebody else, you get to be the boss that also you're the employee within the business and having to do that. It's interesting.
Yeah, just either way, you gotta work.
So how does the comedy fit into this? How does you're a musician and martial arts and everything? How do you fit all of that together in kind of your pursuit of moving forward?
Well, I sponsor comedy events, so that's a way where I can use the company's profits to benefit one of the communities I'm involved in. I sponsor martial artists. Um, Doing stand-up comedy definitely helps with the pitch and talking about the product, because it's pretty common that I'm explaining why they should use our product and they're cracking up laughing just because I explain it in a comedic way. And the music, I did make a Golden Cricket rap song that I have in the end of a lot of the ads. It's I'm not saying it's good, but I did make it.
That's awesome. I can't imagine many folks in your position that are creating a business, creating a product like this that even have the ability to create a rap song that can go at the end of ads or being able to use within the product. So that is pretty unique.
Yeah, I definitely have a set of skills that are quite different from each other and don't really go together, but I guess they do because they are. But I think my superpower has always been my ability to be both business minded and creative, because I know a lot of people that are very wealthy and then have no talent. And I know a lot of very talented people that are broke. So it's rare when you find the two of those together.
Hmm. So what do you see for the next 3 to 5 years with Golden Cricket within kind of your role within the business itself? Where do you see it go in the next 3 to 5 years? What is kind of the I know I'm going to get to this point in 3 years, and here's kind of the I'd love to get to this point, right? Kind of the different levels there. Where do you see yourself going in the next 3 to 5 years with the business?
I think we're going to get rid of the protein bars completely, zero in on the powders. Potentially pivot to dog treats and scale on Amazon. I think Amazon's the smartest move because you can do the pay-per-click ads
Hmm.
as opposed to paid ads, which is a huge difference. And I'd like to do more events and get some government grants, which I think is quite a viable option considering the sustainability factors of the product.
Very cool. What do you see as for your role? Will you kind of take a massive hands-on role as it continues to grow? Do you look to exit out and let somebody else operate it? Kind of where does your passion lie in terms of where you'd like to see your role specifically within the company?
If I could do the least amount of work with the most profit, that's I'll be as hands-on as I need to make sure this thing works out, but I will take the back seat as quickly as possible given the chance.
Nice. We've definitely covered a lot of ground. I do want to be respectful of time here, so I've got a couple rapid fire questions I'd love to kind of get through. Really top hit answers for each of them. A couple of them we probably could go deeper on, but top hit answer, best of our ability today, and then we'll wrap up with one final question. So the first one here is, Eli, what is your key to success?
Key to success is always believing that I'm right about everything and surrounding myself with other people who agree with me.
How about advice for other business owners?
That's very vague. It's broad. Um,
You could give just one piece of advice to another business owner. What would you give them?
don't be afraid to get in debt because debt isn't real. But don't get in debt. But you can you can utilize a lot of 0% APR credit cards for 12 months. I think that little tidbit can help out a lot of people. If you can if you're positive, I think most people should be confident that they can make back $10,000 in a year. If you can't, then you shouldn't be starting a business. If you don't think you can make 10 grand in a year, but you could get a free loan essentially. That's what a 0% APR is. But don't be stupid about it and let it uh add on interest. Then you'd be paying an extra 29% a month forever. But I think that's a really good tool that people are afraid to use because like, oh, then I'll go in debt. But it's like, if I gave you a loan right now for $1 million, but you are instantly in $2 million debt, you'd still be like, all right, well, I have $1 million now.
Definitely a lot of leverage when able to leverage debt like that. Absolutely. What's one book that either you're currently reading or have read most recently?
I read this book called Way of the Peaceful Warrior when I was a kid that I started reading again. And it had something interesting that always stuck with me, how there are no ordinary moments. No matter what's happening, there's the same amount of love or sorrow or pain or happiness in the universe at that one point. It's just where you're directing your focus.
Mm, I like that. Do you happen to know who the author is? I'd love to make a note for the audience to be able to go and find that.
No, I do not recall.
I will look it up and I'll make sure to put it in the show notes for everyone here. Final kind of rapid fire question. I love this one just because it's kind of fun. If you look at your business today and you could only choose one area in the business, and you could magically sprinkle some magic dust on it and wake up tomorrow and it's like 10x better than it was, where would you choose to put that magic dust?
Oh, sales, obviously.
I love it. Before we get to the final question, for those that are interested, that are like, man, this is awesome, I want to try this, it's very different, where can we encourage people to go to connect with you, to learn about all the things that are going on, to try out Golden Cricket, to even I think you had mentioned where you tend to like to set up all that kind of stuff, but if they want to come and check out one of the booths one of these times, where can we advise the audience to go for more information?
Go to goldencricket.com to order. Follow our Instagram at Golden Cricket Inc. INC. My personal Instagram is Cricket Lord MMA. And the health benefits of crickets, I didn't even get into that. But crickets are 65% protein by weight. They contain all 9 essential amino acids. They use 2,000 times less water to produce than whey protein. They're high in calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, potassium, omega-3, omega-6, vitamin B12. They're a natural prebiotic, and it's okay to kill them because they're just crickets.
They're all over the place. There's an
Yeah, there's too
abundance
many.
of crickets, and it's as you kind of mentioned at the beginning, you stumbled across some of this in another part of the world, and that's probably the thing that's always crazy to me is when you look at um, different cultures, different regions of the world, and it's not strange everywhere else. It's just we've made it apparently strange and not doing it. But with all of those benefits, I can't imagine why anyone would be opposed to trying it. I'm I'll definitely be going on the website and checking it out here after we get wrapped up.
Awesome.
So, Eli, I always like to end on kind of one specific question here, and that question is this: what is most inspiring to you today?
All right, I'm going to say this because I don't think anyone's ever said this, but something that really inspires me are people that suck. When I see people that are like bad at their job or bad at music or comedy, I'm like, oh, I could do way better than that. It's very inspiring. No one ever says that, but it's something to think about.
That's fascinating. I can't say that I would disagree with that either. I mean, it's definitely a thought that whether we're willing to admit it or not, definitely have those thoughts from time to time, and it yeah, there is kind of an inspiring nature to that. I like it.
Yeah, it's like if they could do it, I could do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. Eli, I just want to say once again, thanks for taking the time. It's been fascinating. It's been exciting to kind of learn the kind of the crazy journey that you've traversed over your life to get to this point, and the amazing things I know that are likely coming in the future. Learn a little bit more about the business and the crazy awesome benefits that come along with the product. So just thank you so much for taking the time, and highly encourage everyone that's watching here today to go click the links, check it all out, connect, follow Eli, and continue to check out all the fun stuff that they've got going on. So Eli, thank you.
Thank you, Tanner.